Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports Talk, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And today we'll be recapping the Seahawks versus Ravens game. And once again, the Ravens surprised us, and we said this game would be tough. In last week's early recap, we said this game would be tough. We said this game would be hard fought. We were talking about how, the Ravens need to, not allow the Seahawks receivers to break them. And this game went this game went perfect in every single way for a Ravens fan. And it kind of reminds me of the Lions game. We thought that was going to be a hard fought game. We thought that was going to be a tough game. And then we came in there and we dominated. And that's exactly how we did today. And we won, 37-3. You should look a little happy, more happier there. You look sad that
I'm looking for the stats, dude. Leave me alone.
but yeah, just talk about this game a little bit. It wasn't a game where we saw Lamar, throw for 3 touchdowns, have a great passing game like how we saw him do against the Lions. But, he was still efficient. He was more like a game manager this game. He did what he needed to do. The running game really teed off. I mean, Keaton Mitchell had a coming out party. I definitely want to see him, more involved in the running game and even in the passing game. Um, Gus Edwards did his thing, continued off from last week where he had 3 touchdowns. Lamar had some good runs. It was just, a very efficient game, from Lamar and a very powerful game from our running backs. And not to mention OBJ getting his first touchdown reception. That was great to see, on his birthday. I wish Lamar threw it to him, but a touchdown is a touchdown. So it was nice to see him eat a little bit. His best game of the season. And that'll lead me into the stats, and then I'll talk a little bit more. But Lamar went 21 of 26, 187 yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did take 1 sack. Tyler Huntley came in. He was 5 of 7 for 38 yards and 1 touchdown. Rushing, we had Keaton Mitchell had 9 rushes, 138 yards, 1 touchdown. Lamar Jackson had 10 rushes for 60 yards. Gus Edwards had 5 rushes for 52 yards and 2 touchdowns. Justice Hill had 13 rushes for 40 yards. And that's it for rushing. For receiving, Mark Andrews had a pretty solid day. He had 9 receptions for 80 yards and no touchdowns. Odell Beckham, as I mentioned previously, had a great game. 5 receptions for 56 yards and 1 touchdown. Isaiah Likely had 4 receptions for 42 yards. Rashad Bateman had 3 receptions for 28 yards. And Zay Flowers had only 1 reception for 11 yards. Duvernay had a couple receptions for 10 yards. And, that's about it. So, just a, very solid, efficient, productive day by the offense. Everybody, got to touch the ball at least once or twice, it seems like. And, we just did our thing. What are your thoughts about this game?
Yeah, like you said earlier, just another like stunner. I mean, I did not. I mean, what was our like game predictions? Like you said, like 31-21 and or something like that, and I said like 33. I said, look, I'll give myself credit. I said 33-17. So
You did not say that. He's lying. I'm just playing.
no, I'm serious. Like, I'll pull it up on Instagram if you want. It's under our comment. But that's the prediction I put on Instagram because we didn't make the prediction in the last video because we forgot to do that. But yeah, I mean, just like how you said, Lamar was a game manager. It's nice to not have him play hero. Because like the past few seasons, it was him or nothing. And if he wasn't doing everything, then we were probably going to lose. So it was really nice to have him just kind of chill back there in the pocket and. Even though he didn't throw it for any like touchdowns, he still had a decent quarterback rating. He had it was like 90 point something, 96.6. So even without like any touchdowns, still 96.6 rating, which proves that our point that he was effective. Sorry, he wasn't taking a lot of sacks. And only 5 incompletions on 26 attempts is impressive, So he continues to have that completion percentage rise up, and continue to, what is it, like 70% or something like that?
Yeah.
That's another impressive stat in my opinion. So just Keaton Mitchell, like you said, he was fast, man. Like he had some speed to him, and it's just really nice to have some speed on our team, because it really felt like, it was Lamar, like Lamar was fast and everyone was kind of like sluggish, Gus isn't fast and our receivers weren't that fast, and like Mark is Mark's kind of fast for a tight end, but not like blazing speed, fast. But you know, it's nice to have some speed in our team. Mitchell, Lamar, Zay. OBJ still has a little bit of speed, and Bateman has a little bit of speed on him as well, but not like Zay has it. So just a very efficient game offensively. And it kind of wasn't going like great at first. We obviously had the 2 punch to begin the game, I believe. And we were winning 7-0, I believe it was at one point, and we had the sack fumble. Besides that, I thought the pocket held up pretty well. Ronnie Stanley was getting beat a little bit, more than our liking. So we may need to start having a discussion about our left tackle for the future. But that's for another video at this point, so not gonna get into that now. But I thought, I forgot who was backing up Morgan Moses today, because Morgan Moses was unfortunately out with an injury, or I think it was a shoulder injury, if I'm not mistaken. Like, you didn't even notice that he was gone, so good on the pocket for holding up for Lamar, and run blocking as well. Obviously allowing for the creases to be open. But I mean, Keaton Mitchell, even if he was getting touched, he was just breaking right through. It felt like, so it didn't matter if it was pocket, if the line held up or not. He was getting through for at least 5 or 6 yards, so or more. With how much the average 15.3 on 9 carries that's insane. That's insane, man. So very, very, very excited. I know he's going to be a very, very popular fantasy pickup. Including me. I picked him up. So had to pick him up just to hopefully we use him a little bit more. And I don't want to throw shots at Justice Hill, but he's a better version of Justice Hill. And then we haven't even seen him in a receiving game yet. Maybe he can have like some nice breakaway speed on a screenplay. We haven't been able to run those screenplays because we don't got that guy like Taylor or Kamara that can like, or Kamara, whatever is it Kamara or Kamara? How do you say it?
Kamara.
All right, so
able to make a Miss Marvel's reference there.
Not Kamala, no, but we will be seeing that, and we will be making a review for our casual cinema page. And I'm not a liar like you, so, so it will be up. We promise. I don't break promises like you. Sorry. No, but anyway, to go back to the game though, the elusiveness from Keaton Mitchell can be utilized on screens. Hopefully, I know we don't run screens. I know we don't run screens well, and we don't defend them well either. So that's just something that's been the bane of our existence so far in the Ravens' short tenure in the NFL. So that's really all I gotta say with the offense.
So yeah, I think that's, the offense we've already explained enough. They did what they do. I think that's a good segue into the defense.
Right. And to touch on the offense, I didn't really touch on the receivers that much. They were definitely trying to feed Bateman a little bit more today, or Sunday, not today. But they were definitely trying to feed him a little bit more. Lamar missed him on a few overthrows, which is something we got to clean up because we might look at those now and be like, oh, we won 37-3, doesn't matter. But if we wind up losing the game because we missed touchdowns opportunities like that, we're going to turn back to that and be like, he should have hit those. So right now we could be like, oh, okay, well, he still got to work, but it's year 6, man. We got to hit those, So that's just one thing. And then Mark was doing his thing, it kind of felt like a quiet 9 reception day for him, almost 100 yards. He got 10 targets, so he only missed one. I don't know if it was a drop or if it was a overthrow, whatever it was. But Mark it seemed like Mark didn't have like a big day, but he kind of did have a big day. I guess because he didn't get in the end zone. So we got to get him in the end zone. So Zay obviously very quiet, and I guess we can really attribute that to the Seahawks secondary is really good. Let's just be honest. Their secondary is very good. They're very talented. So leaning on the running game was probably going to be the moves in this game, and I think that we did that well. And I'm very proud of the offense for handling a good team like that. Another good team in the bank. So hopefully we do that to the next 2 opponents. You got anything else left to say, or do you want me to transition to the defense?
No, I think that's a good segue into the defense.
All right, so defense today. What else can you say? Like, this defense is freaking fantastic.
Yeah,
and I remember coming into the season, one of my biggest problems was that this may be a weak point of the team was the defense. Never ever in my life will I doubt Mike McDonald again. he is just. I feels like everybody on this team is having a career year,
Yeah.
from Patrick Queen to Metabike to Geno Stone to Brandon Stevens. Like he is really one of the best hires we've made, in really Ravens history outside of maybe like Harbaugh and I don't even know who else. So I'm gonna have a conversation with you at the end of the video, or ask you a question at the end of the video about Mike McDonald, but I don't really want to get into that now. But defense was lights out. I mean, I think the Seahawks only got like 6 first downs,
Yeah.
like 6 first downs in one game. That's embarrassing
Yeah.
from one end and just amazing on the other, on the Ravens side. And like they were generating great pressure on Geno. Like what was one of my keys to the game? The trenches and get him the third down. They were not a very good third down team, and they stopped them on third down a lot. And then the trenches were important to me just because of how they kind of got pushed around versus the Cardinals. So it was important for them to kind of, break
Yes.
through, just like try to rebound from that type of game. And they did. What else can you say? Matabike, Kyle Van Noy with that big strip sack before halftime, to set us up for a field goal at least. Way was busting through, Clowney was busting through. I think I already said Matabike, so just good job on the trenches there, on the offense and defense. So, 2 thumbs up from me. What is your assessment of the defense before I read off some stats?
The defense played well. I mean, they only allowed like 151 total yards. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even remember DK Metcalf at all. Like I don't
Besides
even
that one catch, yep.
remember that. I mean, I know Tyler Lockett had a couple catches.
Nothing big though.
Yeah, we pretty much held the receivers in check, and I was really proud about that. I really was proud about that. And Geno Stone continuing to get it. He got a pick in this game, continuing what he's
Yep.
been doing this season. This was really, I want to say, a statement game. Because this is like the best wide receiving core we faced this year, and we could just
Mm.
neutralize them. We have a
Yep.
couple more coming up. I think we play the Dolphins. Play the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Play the
later in the year.
49ers. Yeah, play the
Mm.
49ers.
Bengals.
Bengals. The Browns have a formidable receiving core. They've been a little bit better. Mari Cooper.
Mm.
We got some tough receiving cores coming up, and this is definitely a step in the right direction.
Oh, most definitely. And I think Marlowe is starting to get back to full strength. Stevens. The thing about Stevens is, the thing about a cornerback is if you hear their name a lot, that's usually not a good thing. Brandon Stevens, all the past 2 seasons, that's all you've heard is Brandon Stevens. Oh, he messed up. Well, if he had ball tracking skills, he'd be one of the best corners in the game, whatever.
Right.
When have we really heard about Brandon Stevens this year? Besides when he's making a play, like a pick. He has 2 picks, I believe, this year. So
Right.
Brandon Stevens he's slowly growing on me. I don't know about you, but he's growing on a lot of Ravens fans. He's having a quietly good season. And it's a good thing for a cornerback to be quiet because you're either A, not being targeted, or B, when you are being targeted, you're not allowing big receptions. So anyways, to segue into the defensive stats here, our leading tackler was Patrick Queen. He had 6 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss. That's it. Roquan Smith had 5 total tackles. Matabike had 4 total tackles as well. He had a sack and 2 tackle for losses. 2 TFLs. And he had a QB hit, obviously, with the sack. I think that's like a 6th game in a row with a sack or something like that. So he's every game. I keep telling you that price goes up. He's going to be definitely one of the highest paid interior defensive linemen. Defensive ends in the league. So hopefully it's with us. Jadeveon Clowney gets 3 tackles in the game, 2 pass deflections. I remember those 2 pass deflections. We were knocking a lot of footballs down the line of scrimmage. Today. I don't know if like Pierce got one, I believe. Clowney got a few, like it shows here. Anyways, Kyle Hamilton gets 3 total tackles. Also has a pass deflection. Kyle Van Noy only gets 2 tackles, but 2 of those were the sacks. One that kind of doesn't make sense. He has 2 sacks, but it's 1 tackle for loss. Isn't it sacks tackle for loss? I guess it means like the running back or whatever. But that wouldn't even make sense because if he has 2 tackles and 2 sacks, right?
Yeah.
How does he only have 1 tackle for loss? So NFL makes up stuff or something. I don't know. But anyways, he also had 2 QB hits. I'm surprised he didn't only say one. Obey had 2 tackles as well, a sack, a tackle for loss, and a QB hit. Adafe probably could have a few more sacks if he wrapped up correctly. But Arthur Millette has 2 tackles. Stevens 2 tackles as well. Trenton Simpson got in there for 2 tackles as well. Tavius Robinson gets 2 tackles, and Stone has a tackle, 2 pass deflections, and a pick. I don't remember who got the fumble recovery. I'll look it up here, and it's just not going to tell me, I guess. Broderick Washington, he gets a fumble recovery. So yeah, we caused 2 turnovers in the game, which were huge. Especially the one, like I said, the one before halftime. The momentum could have easily shifted. But let's just put this into perspective here. It's 14-3, okay? It's 14-3. We get the ball. We're driving down the field trying to get at least a field goal to make it 17-3, or to get a touchdown to make it 21-3. OBJ makes a nice catch, he fumbles. So once he fumbles the ball, goes to the booth, they come back, it's confirmed to be a fumble. So now the Seahawks have a chance to make this 14-10. And that's huge. That's a 7-point, almost 14-point swing right there. And you're letting them back into the game when you really shouldn't.
Right.
But time and time again, this defense comes up to the occasion and balls out. Like Kyle Van Noy came in for 2 straight sacks on 2nd and 3rd down, I believe it was. And he just wrecked through the offensive line, got to him the first sack, and then stripped the ball the second time. And then that put us in field goal range. So it's kind of like it never happened, meaning the OBJ fumble. Right. So, just time and time again, our defense coming up clutch. We're going to need them the rest of the year. And if our offense can keep playing like this, and our defense can get well rested on the sidelines during the games, this is going to be one of the best defensive, one of the best defenses ever. Because we're not just like stopping them anymore. Like we're not like back. It felt like, a few years ago, like we had a really good defense or whatever. It would be, we'd get a sack or we'd stop them or cause a 3 and out. We're causing turnovers now. Like there's fumbles, there's picks now. That we have a league leader in interceptions. There's strip sacks now, and it's like, how many more turnovers could we have had if we just recovered some of these fumbles we've caused? I feel like every week we lose a fumble. Every week we lose a fumble, but every week we cause a fumble but don't recover it. At least one. So yeah, I'm very proud of this defense, and I'm very proud of this team. 7-2 now, still first in the AFC North, tied for first in the AFC. People who want to say this is the 2019 Ravens, kind of feels like that. Feels a little bit better. There's a little bit more of a balance of tackle and offense. Just a stifling defense. We didn't have a stifling defense in 2019. This is the 2019 team, but better, in my opinion. And we have great depth, good receivers, a not stupid passing game, where guys are running into each other, so, I mean, how do you feel about that assessment that this is a 2019 team, but better? Or the claim, whatever.
I can see it. Our defense definitely is the real deal. It definitely is much better than that 2019 team. That 2019 team allowed a lot of yards. And, because our offense was scoring like 33 points a game that year, it made, the defense look a lot better than what it actually was. I could recall the Bengals game, the Jets game. There probably was a couple other games. We allowed a lot of yardage. And the score, we blew them out, but we allowed a lot of yardage, and we allowed them to get a little bit closer than what really should have,
Right.
This defense doesn't do that. This defense gets after guys. This defense is fast and physical, and that's definitely the benefits of having a guy like Roquan as the leader. He's here and he's scary. He's ferocious, and we also have a younger defense than that 2019. You got guys like Josh Bynes out there. Who's
compare. Yeah, LJ Fort and Josh Bynes to Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith.
LJ Fort was pretty good, but you can't.
He was pretty good, but there was a reason we got him for nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he was bad, but he is a guy you want only on injury replacement. Like I wouldn't even consider him to be an LB2. Like that is the biggest reason why Henry just ran and did whatever he wanted against us that year in 2019. It's because our linebacking core was terrible. You
Right.
know, we didn't really have that great of a defensive front. Like maybe I think we had maybe Pierce and Brandon Williams at that point, but we didn't have like Calais Campbell and Derek Wolf who stopped them a year later. And then this year, I think our run defense is iffy and sometimes, but most times it's stifling. And
Right.
Travis Jones, Broderick Washington, Michael Pierce, and you got Away, Van Noy, Clowney, Ajabo, who might be out for the year. Setting the edges. So hopefully we don't run into a buzzsaw, in the playoffs, so we can finally play a team that's normal. Whatever normal is in the playoffs. But that I think that's all for the recap of the Seahawks versus the Ravens.
Yep. Yep. So
All right, so transition into the next game. A preview of the Ravens versus Browns. One of the bigger games of the year so far. The Browns last we played them 28-3. We won. We dominated. What was I going to say? Deshaun Watson. I couldn't remember his name. Deshaun Watson, or Massage Watson, whatever you want to call him, did not start that game. So DTR came in and they wanted to rip his head off, man. The defense was beating him up like so bad all game. Like it was just like his helmet was like sideways and his freaking jersey's all hanging out, and his jersey is, instead of brown, it's gray or green because of the grass all over him, and it was pretty bad. He was pretty bad, and to make your first career start against one of the best defenses in the league, it's tough. That is tough.
you could have called us Craven the way we had him left over.
Yeah, it's just we were hunting, right? But I guess do you want me to read off the stats that I wrote down, or do you want to make an assessment of the Browns and Ravens before we go into stats?
You know what? That game next week, I feel like it's going to be very different than the first game. And I know we've been saying this, for the Lions and the Seahawks game. This is going to be
It'll be tough.
But I really feel like this game is really going to be tough. It's an AFC North opponent. And they have done their homework on us since the first time. And you got Deshaun playing. Obviously it helps. Not going against a guy like Nick Chubb. Makes it a little bit easier. But
Right.
I feel like they'll learn from the first game, and it's going to be a lot tighter. But I still feel like we can pull it through. We did a lot. We did a pretty good job of containing Myles Garrett in the first game. He did get through a little bit, but we did a pretty good job. And I feel like, if the guys can just step up to the occasion one more time against a player of his caliber, and we have a strong running game, we can get guys like OBJ and Mark, open. I feel like we can be fine, and I feel like we can win this game by 2 scores. Maybe we can win 21-7 or something like that. I trust that our defense is going to be locked in. I really do. And it just depends on, are we going to let Myles Garrett take over the game or not? And that's honestly, that's one of my keys is, don't let Myles take over the game. Have a strong running game. I would say, use Keaton Mitchell more. He's fast. I feel like he's faster than a lot of guys on the Browns defense. He's like our secret weapon right now. A lot of teams don't know about him. A lot of teams don't know what he can do.
Right.
And I feel like, we start using him more than Justice Hill now. I feel like we should start, establishing him as the RB2 behind Gus. I also feel like, on the defensive side, we got to keep our eye on Amari Cooper. He's one of the best route runners in the league right now. He is quiet. He hasn't had a lot of buzz around his name, like how he did in 2019 or 18, but he's still, one of the better wide receivers in the league, and he's a great route runner. And, even the last game, he had 139 receiving yards. We can't let him do that in this game. So, I my keys, keep Amari under control, Amari Cooper, establish a strong running game, use our top secret weapon, Keaton Mitchell, and don't let Myles Garrett take over the game, contain him, step up to the occasion. And, so that's just, my early, takes on the game. You can get into the stats now, or you can say your own takes, whatever you want.
No, I'll probably say them after they give the stats here. Sorry, but so the Browns are 5-3. second or tied for second in the AFC North. Believe the Bengals and Steelers are also 5-3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yes.
Their last game was a win. 27-0 shut out of the Arizona Cardinals, which I wish we would have did. I mean, we were dominating that game up until that fiasco at the end. So I don't know how to feel about it. But anyways, individual stats. Deshaun Watson has a 902 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 86.7 quarterback rating, and a 62% completion percentage. Their main running backs that they're using since Chubb's injury have been Jerome Ford. He has 107 carries for 425 yards. He averages 4 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, and 53.1 yards per game. Kareem Hunt, who they re-signed back after the Chubb injury, has 60 carries for 196 yards, 3.3 yards average yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, and 32.7 yards per game. Main pass catchers, or leading pass catchers, I should say. Amari Cooper has 35 receptions for 617 yards and 2 touchdowns, 77.1 yards per game. David Njoku has 32 receptions, 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 39.9 yards per game. Elijah Moore has 29 receptions for 270 yards, no touchdowns, and 33.8 yards per game. But this is where the Browns make their money, or get really their wins, is their defense. Tackle leaders, Grant Delpit has 53 total tackles. JLK has 38 total tackles. Anthony Walker has 34 total tackles as well. Juan Thornhill has 34 tackles as well. Denzel Ward has 25 tackles, and Myles Garrett, a defensive end, being one of the leaders in the team in tackles is crazy, but he has 25 total tackles. Interception leaders, Denzel Ward has 2 interceptions. Martin Emerson has 2 interceptions as well. How do you say his name again? Sione Takitaki?
Yeah, Sione Takitaki
has an interception. Maurice Hurst has an interception as well, and Grant Delpit has 1 interception. So and sacks, Myles Garrett obviously leads the team in sacks. He has 9.5 sacks on this year. Dalvin Tomlinson has 3 sacks. Jordan Elliott has 2.5 sacks. Now I'm gonna pass his name off to you. Like I said earlier, you're gonna pronounce this so I don't butcher it. You remember?
Obonia Okoronkwo.
Yeah, so what he said has 2.5 sacks. Sione Takitaki has 2 sacks, and Zadarius Smith, not Desarius Smith, has 2 total tackles on year. Some other stats some team stats to mention. Offensively, yards per game, they average 309. I think that is 309 yards per game, which is 18th in the league. I think it's 369, not 309. But points per game, they average 22.6 points per game, which is 14th in the league. Total points per game, total points they have in the season is 181, which is 17th in the league. Passing yards per game, they have 184.1, which is 29th in the league. So they're not passing the ball very well. Rushing yards per game, it's 144.1, which is 3rd in the league. So you never believe it was number 1. Anyways, now, like I said, the moneymaker, the stars of the team, the defense, one of the best defenses in the league. Yards allowed per game, 234.8, which is 1st in the National Football League. Passing yards allowed per game is 145, which is also 1st in the league. Rushing yards allowed per game is 89.8, which is 6th best in the league. Points allowed 139, which is 2nd best in the league. And points allowed per game 17.4, which is 3rd per game. So those are some of the Brown stats going into the matchup versus the Ravens. So I think everybody knows the story. A kind of good offense, maybe good running offense. You know, obviously their passing numbers might be down because of, you know, DTR and PJ Walker leading the helm for ever since Deshaun got his shoulder injury. And obviously their running game has always been good under Kevin Stefanski, even a little bit before that. You know, even since Nick Chubb went out, you know, obviously they still rank pretty high in the league with Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford. So, you know, their defense is nasty. You know, their defense is physical. I believe Myles Garrett is one of the top sack leaders in the NFL with 9.5 sacks, you know, so he's going to get you, you know, at least once. Like we're gonna have to accept that he's gonna sack you at least once. Just make sure it's only once. Don't let him get a confident. Even Zadarius Smith. Don't let him break through either. That's a nasty combination, really. To be honest, Zadarius a little bit older, but still can still break through the line. But give me some of your keys to the game and some score predictions here, for the Ravens versus Browns.
Well, I already mentioned the keys of the game earlier, those four keys I mentioned, but the score prediction, and I already did the score prediction too. I said 21-7.
Oh
So,
yeah, I didn't hear you. I was still looking up some stats.
so I'll ask you, what would you say your keys to the game are in the score prediction? I'll ask you.
Honestly, my keys to the game are dominate the time of possession. Tire their defense out, in my opinion. And well, actually, that's going to be my second. My very first key to the game is don't let their offense do nothing, so that it could be kind of a repeat of the last game where the Browns defense does okay early, but they just get tired towards the end of the game and they get worn down and they're all sluggish. So we can run kind of like the Seahawks game where we can just run the freaking muck against them. It may not be as bad as the Seahawks game, but that's one of my keys to the game is to dominate the time of possession, and that includes that not only offensively, but make sure the defense just gets quick 3-and-outs or causes turnovers. Make sure that defense, the Browns. Now this is gonna sound strange, but make sure that Browns defense is out there on the field most of the game. Don't even give the Browns a chance to try to freaking come back into this game or even dominate this game. Because no matter what you think, about Deshaun or that offense, with Deshaun back, that's a weapon on their team. No matter what you think about him, he's still a good football player. So to make sure that he's not on the field and have our main guy, our offense on the field a lot, running the ball or throwing the ball, whatever it's going to be, so be it. Whatever it's going to be, and then obviously I'm going to say this probably would have been one of my keys to the game every game, but trenches. And this is mainly the offensive line. That offensive line's got to hold up. We cannot have Ronnie Stanley, our multi-million-dollar tackle getting beat by Myles Garrett or Zadarius Smith or whatever. And that's very much a possibility. We're gonna need Morgan Moses to get healthy so that we can have a healthy line against that monstrous defensive line that the Browns have. So and like just don't please, Ronnie, do not let Lamar's blindside get hit this game. Or strip sack. Don't let that happen in this game. So it's gonna be important for the trenches to really just lock up, that defensive line. And that's not gonna be easy. I'm never saying it's gonna be easy, but it's not gonna be easy. And then our defensive line needs to eat because they have lost two offensive linemen this year, or this week. So away, let's get the tackles going, and this week's more important than last to wrap up. Do not let Deshaun extend plays. So away, Clowney in particular, whoever else, wrap up, bring down, do not let the play be extended. So that's my keys to the game. And I am predicting a Ravens win. I'm going to go 31-17.
Okay.
And I know that, I just said it right off. I'm really gonna go 31-17 because we just blow out good teams at home. It seems like it's nice to see that we're finally defending the castle, or the bank. It actually is not the castle. The castle is the one in Owings Mills. But so I'm gonna go 31-17. Continue the streak of 30-point games, which I believe is at 3 games now. Is it at 3 games or is it 4? Better check. Yeah, because that Titans win, we barely scored. Well, not barely scored, but okay. So try to make this 4 games in a row, of 30-point scoring games. So that's my prediction, and those are my keys to the game, for the Ravens versus Browns.
Yes, so I think we covered everything in this video. Seahawks recap, a more in-depth look of our predictions for the game next week. And so yeah, make sure you check out our social medias. We're being a little bit more active on Instagram.
Yep.
Jared, made a game day post. It looks amazing. Make sure you check that out. Give us some love. Check out our Twitter, our TikTok. Check out our other channel, Casual Cinema. I'm not lying to you this time. We got some coming.
No, I promised that you didn't.
Plus me this time. We got it. But yeah, we're birds of prey, TJ and Jared, and we're out.
Right.